From the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., this is Rewind. This week, the Kalb Report taped an hour-long interview with CBS News chief foreign correspondent Lara Logan, who left no doubt that battlefield reporting is her passion.
I would give up a toilet and a hot meal and a bed any day for a story that's real. I can't stand to dabble in things that are not real. They don't mean anything. I mean, politics is critically important, but it doesn't burn that fire in you the way it does to be out there in the most impossible situation, doing something that is truly the difference between life and death. And if I didn't have a family, if I didn't have a husband and two small children, I'd be in Afghanistan right now. You would need an armored division to dislodge me from that position. I mean, in Afghanistan, everyone was complaining about what a terrible war that was to cover. Let me tell you, compared to Angola and Mozambique, that was fairly luxurious. If you haven't had time to taste the dirt of Afghanistan with Afghan people, if you haven't had time to bleed in that dirt, and by bleed I don't mean literally, I don't think that you can ever have a true understanding. So for me, I don't like shows when I listen to a bunch of academics with access to the White House debating policy, because usually I don't think they know what they're talking about most of the time. Has anyone been to Walter Reed in this room? Has anyone seen what the debris of this war, the human debris, actually looks like?
You have this reputation for being outspoken. You've already demonstrated that.
The veteran war correspondent made a point to differentiate between journalistic observations and her personal opinion.
The invasion of Iraq was an abject failure. It empowered Iran to a degree that we've never been honest about, and it did nothing to serve American interests. The enemy is not in Afghanistan. The low-hanging fruit, the expendable people, are in Afghanistan. The real enemy is across the border in Pakistan, and I'm not advocating for war in Pakistan. Look, you take 24 to 48 hours out of your day where you target all the people who you know where you are, and you send a message to the Pakistanis that putting American bodies in Arlington Cemetery is not an acceptable form of foreign policy.
On a lighter note, the club hosted a whiskey tasting from President George Washington's distillery. The first commander-in-chief was persuaded to start a distillery because the demand for alcohol at that time was a staggering 5 gallons per person, compared to 2 gallons per person today.
Water was hard to come by. Good drinking water, we find this hard to believe now, but it was difficult to come by. And so they were looking for substitutes for water. And then finally, doctors thought that alcohol was really good for you. And they would prescribe it for a host of ailments. And they had great results. Not because it helped you, because it just made you feel better.
From the National Press Club in Washington, this is Rewind. I'm Steve Taylor.